watching the monkey.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to another episode of The Art of Being with the Act Matrix. Today, it's just Phil and I, because we're going to talk about Mr. Rogers.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this video or this podcast will have been titled something like "Get Your Mr. Rogers On" or "Mr. Rogers Practice" or whatever. And this comes about because Bill, myself, and others have noted the similarities between how Mr. Rogers conducted himself and did his TV show and other things, and the Matrix, the Act Matrix, and how it comes about. And also, if you watch the Mr. Rogers movie, which is what, Welcome to My Neighborhood?
Yes, I believe that is the working title.
The one Tom Hanks plays.
The latest one.
The latest one. Well, who knows? People might be listening to this 20 years from now.
Yeah, this will be the 29th. This is 29. Tail end of 2019 here.
Tail end, yeah, right. And Tom Hanks, famous actor, has portrayed Mr. Rogers in a dramatic film, actually.
Yeah, and the actual title is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Oh, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. There you go. That's Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
And during that movie, his wife is portrayed as
Joanne.
Right? Joanne, and she said it in real life. Don't make a saint out of Mr. Rogers, because then what he does would be unattainable. What he does is a practice, and he practices it every day. And so then it's like, okay, that's great, but really there's no clear way to practice Mr. Rogers that I know of.
Yeah, and we certainly can't be Mr. Rogers, so that would not work.
And I think Tom Hanks did a great job of learning a whole lot about him and portraying him and stuff, but I'm not sure he would know exactly how to practice Mr. Rogers. So here's our stab at it using the that's what this.
We're going to take a run at this.
And we know for a fact more than once and during the movie. So it's portrayed in the movie, and he also did it, I think it was in his Emmy Lifetime Achievement Award speech, where he pauses for a minute and has people contemplate the loved ones that
have had a great impact. Helped you to become who you are.
Right. And that is highly similar to when we ask the question, who is important to you?
Yeah.
And we're just pretty sure Fred Rogers would agree. Like, oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. We're gonna make that leap.
We're going to make that leap, and it just seems pretty congruent. I've watched quite a bit of him lately. So you do that. So first of all, toward getting your Mr. Rogers on or your Mr. Rogers practice is take a moment at any time in the day, but this time do it a little different.
Yeah.
Literally take a minute of silence after you ask yourself the question, who is important to me? And then give yourself a minute. And I pause like this on purpose, folks, because that's how Mr. Rogers did it.
Yeah. And that was just a couple of seconds.
Right. That was just a couple of seconds of dead air, and people start feeling the anxiety.
Yeah.
In the movie, they have a 60-second dead air space in a restaurant scene. And he does it literally live on that Emmy Award speech thing. So he was quite willing to do it. So I'm not saying that you have to do it right now, and I'm not going to pull up Mr. Rogers and do full 60 seconds, but you can do it in your own practice. Take a minute, at least a whole minute, stay quiet, and think about who's important to you. So that would fit. Now, we're figuring Mr. Rogers wouldn't end on that. Hey, oh no, but Phil and I were talking about doing a video series on, get your Mr. Rogers on.
Yeah.
Where we'll send you a video a day for 5 days.
Right.
Phil, we could do that. We could do the full minute during.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's going to be included in the practice.
Right. So we'll do that. We have a full minute.
Yeah, because it's good. It's a good practice to try out.
Good practice. So right now, though, we're just talking about the practice. So take a full minute, and then now that I think of it, Phil, this is going to take 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
To do this practice, I'm riffing, folks. I'm making stuff. I'm deriving stuff. Is what it's called. Right. But anyway, so we're going to go over to the lower left. Yucky stuff. The yucky stuff that shows up inside of you. Mr. Rogers in this movie, It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, really gets this person, the protagonist of the movie, really contemplating his yucky stuff.
Oh, yeah.
To say the very least, in good style. But so you have your own yucky stuff that shows up. That's there inside of you. So here, let's do it. Let's do another minute on that.
There you go.
We're getting our Mr. Rogers on, right? So
Got it.
We're not going to brush this over. We're going to give this a full 5 minutes.
And Mr. Rogers would say, it's good to say things that you feel.
And so with that, say them out loud.
Yeah.
So,
because he also said all feelings are mentionable and manageable.
And if they're mentionable, they're manageable.
Yeah.
And there you go. So say them out loud as they show up. For that matter, you can write them down as well. But take a minute, at least a full minute to do that.
Give yourself the space.
Yeah, to do that. Then go to the upper left. And take another whole minute to sit there and visualize yourself doing those away moves that you do.
Oh, I'm visualizing them right now.
We all do them. The yucky, just stress and anxiety and stuff of everyday life is showing up. And, away move for Mr. Rogers, he shows it in the movie. He says, you hit all the lower keys on the piano, all at the same time. Boom, 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 boom.
Boom. Right.
He's describing it in a away move.
Yeah.
A way of getting away, of releasing his anger or whatever that's coming up. The movie actually ends on that scene.
On him playing the piano, yeah.
And doing a boom, 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 boom. So he's doing some away move, more than likely very workable away move, but nevertheless an away move. So just whatever your away moves are, take a minute and contemplate on them. And now, of course, the big Mr. Rogers minute is more than a minute, really.
Yeah.
Is thinking of and later on doing. What you can do to move toward who's important.
You'll visualize the toward move.
So you're going to visualize the toward move, most definitely, and just visualize all of that. So take a minute doing that. Now you're up to 4 minutes. So what are we going to spend the last minute on? Oh, I already mapped it out.
Yes, I know where we're going with this.
I programmed this out really quick.
Yeah, that's right.
It works. They're going to go in the middle, and they're going to notice, okay? And you're going to notice that you're okay just the way you are.
Pretty much.
What was the thing you were saying to me? Yeah, but you're going to notice, not just notice, you're going to notice you're okay. Mr. Rogers said, I like you just the way you are.
Yeah, I like you just the way you are. You made this day a special day just by being you.
Just by being you. That was Mr. Rogers. And we all forget that message.
Yeah.
I'll let you in a little bit more of a thing that I've read and figured out a bit about Mr. Rogers. What was one that he hated TV.
Yeah.
And so he did the Mr. Rogers television show because he hated TV.
Yeah.
And you go, what? Well,
he hated the message of TV.
And he literally used the word hate.
Yeah.
I heard him in a tape. He said hated. He hated TV. And he hated what it was doing to young people. It was making them into consumers. It was consumerism gone wild. And the way that it's done in a big picture form, folks, is the TV comes on and in many, many, many ways, it tells you you're not good enough and that you're broken and that you need fixing. And it gives you that message a lot.
Yeah.
And then that perfectly sets you up for the commercial breaks.
Yep.
And what is inside of the commercial breaks, Phil?
Well, stuff that you need to have to fix yourself and make yourself better.
That's the game, folks. And Mr. Rogers spotted that. He spotted that game. He spotted that you're not good enough, but if you'll buy this thing, for sure you will be good enough. Be just as good as everybody else. And especially in children's programming, it was, buy these toys and you'll be okay. But the kids were also repeatedly getting these "you're not good enough" messages. We get them today. Pay attention, pay close attention to all the messages that tell you you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Go to the grocery store line and look at the beautiful people on the magazine covers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not like them, are you?
Yeah.
No. You're not good enough.
Yeah.
You're not worthy. Just even in that, folks.
Yep.
There's a message. It's called ideology.
Yeah.
There's a message behind it. You're not good enough. And if you'll open it up and buy this, 30-day diet plan, beauty stuff or exfoliating cream or whatever the heck it is, testosterone boosters or the list goes on.
You can look like the person on the cover.
Yeah, exactly. Be Charles Atlas. And it goes on. And so his antidote was to do a television show that made sure that let children have feelings, not try and cover them up with buying things, but to simply have them and sit with them and understand those.
Yeah.
You may well know as an audience member, he took on assassination,
right,
divorce.
Yeah,
whole week to divorce.
I think he took on cynicism. I guess a role. He just took on cynicism.
He took it on, which is people are always out to get something.
Yeah,
that's the cynicism.
Yeah,
and he took it on. I'm like, no, I'm not. Which is the point of the movie. The large part of the movie was the magazine reporter goes in cynically figuring that Rogers is really up to something.
He was up to something. There was some game that Rogers
figures out that he's up to being a really nice guy that likes you just the way you are.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's what he was up to. And so the middle of the matrix becomes your practice and you're good enough. You're just the way you are.
Oh, it's like just notice I am okay is what I had enough time to squeeze in there in the middle, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it harkens back to a book that David Byrne wrote or something. I'm okay. Which is the title of the book is great. It's exactly that. You're okay. Because, and I've done the Matrix with, literally thousands of people, folks. Now, one of the number one things that shows up in the lower left quadrant is I'm not good enough.
All the time.
No, I'm not good enough. It shows up with children. It shows up adolescent, young adults, middle adults, older adults. Everybody has it. Everybody has this I'm not good enough. Well, where does this I'm not good enough message come from? Well, it's coming from the media. So one of the only ways to counteract it is to realize there I am. There's the matrix. There's who's important to me.
Yeah.
There's my yucky stuff.
Yucky stuff.
There's my away move.
Things I do to move away, and there's those things I do to move toward. Yeah.
And there I am, and that's fine.
Yep.
There I am.
And that's exactly what he would say, and that's just fine. Yeah.
And that's why the Matrix is like Mr. Rogers, is that it simply draws a picture, and it's a non-judgmental picture.
Yeah.
It's not, we don't pick on people's anything.
No.
We just mark them down. Oh, there you go. There's where does that go? Oh, it goes there. Okay, we'll put it there. There it is. And that's it. You just put things. You just sort things. And you do it from that point of view. And it's just, well, there you are. That's just the way you are. That's a great place to start.
Great practice.
and you start that. So we'll do a series probably around the first of the year. We're recording this on December the 18th. 2019.
Yeah.
So we'll get around and do a little. What I mean by that, on the front page of the Act Matrix Academy, I'll put a little form, and it'll say, your daily Mr. Rogers practice.
Get your Mr. Rogers on. Daily Mr.
Rogers on. And you'll put in your name and your email, and then we'll send you an email.
We'll have some fun with it. We're going to have some fun with it.
Send you an email a day about this topic. But we also wanted to put it out to the larger podcast audience about this, and something that people could do. And in case anybody out there, including Mr. Hanks, if he ever gets a hold of this podcast and hears it or anything, this really is a way that you can do it. And if anybody knows Tom Hanks or whatever, he seems to be a really nice guy. I would love to see Tom Hanks play Mr. Rogers doing the Matrix. I did think about that. That would be so freaking cool. And I don't mean from a commercial point of view.
No.
I don't know. I just mean on a pure human point of view. It would be so cool, because I think Tom gets it. Mr. Hanks gets it.
Oh yeah.
He really does. And he could do his
he
Mr.
could pull it
Rogers. He could pull his Mr. Rogers forward and do it, and do Mr. Rogers doing the Matrix. And it would be a really cool thing to see. And short of that, imagine it yourself. Imagine Mr. Rogers doing the Matrix.
Yeah.
I get a smile when I think of him doing it. He would have done it too. I mean, he just probably would have done it.
He would have given it a shot.
He would have seen the message, which was, there you are. And that's great. Let's go from there. But all this. But the thing about, seeing your feelings, accepting your feelings, knowing that they're there, knowing what you do to try to get away from them, to leave the stuff, the tensions, all of that, just seeing it for what it is a cool thing to do. So that's a Mr. Rogers practice. Obviously, there's many other ways to do it, but I don't know of them. I mean, I've watched a lot. Have you too? I know Phil. He's also a lot about Mr. Rogers.
I've been geeking out on Mr. Rogers.
But neither one of us know how to really practice Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
I think for most people, it still goes into the category that, oh my goodness, he's a saint. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Now you can do this, folks, and you can do this with other people as well. You can go show the Matrix to other people, and put your Mr. Rogers on when
there you go.
And know Mr. Rogers would accept people right where you can see it. You can see it. Oh, really? So you're sad. Where would the sad go? Where would we put it?
Oh yeah. Oh,
we would just right. Yeah. Right. We would put it right down here. Right. It's non-judgmentally done that way. That's just what you do.
Yeah.
So it'd be a fun thing to see. So, but anyway, one way of practicing it, go for it.
Yep.
And we'll come up with the final title here in a minute before we put this out. But That'll be fun. So in the meantime, practice Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
However you want to do it, this way or some other way.
This is our suggestion. You could do it lots of ways, but.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the main way is accept people just the way they are.
That's what's in the background. That's what's behind the scenes there. Yeah.
You don't need to be better.
Yeah. he did not need anybody to be anything than just what they were. They were right in front of him.
That was it. And they were the most important person.
And that's just it. He was fully present with them.
He was fully present with people right then. Right.
Yeah.
And they didn't need to be more or less than what they were right then. And it's a powerful message. And if you have been fortunate enough to do the Matrix with quite a few people, you may have noticed that showing up.
Yeah.
It lends itself to that kind of practice.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we made this podcast. So there you go. The podcast of, what do you keep calling it? I got to write that down, Phil. Your Mr. Rogers on?
Get your Mr. Rogers on.
Get your Mr. Rogers on.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll write this down.
Channeling your inner Mr. Rogers.
Well, that's a different one.
Yeah, but this is like, I like this one a little bit better. Getting it on is like.
Which one?
You can do this.
You're naming it. Which one is it?
I'm going to say get your Mr. Rogers on.
Okay. Get your.
Because channeling somebody, well, that's kind of a daunting task. Now you're not really being who you are, you know.
Right. I mean, you need an expert like Tom Hanks.
Yeah. We right. He's not going to show up. At least not the first couple of podcasts. Maybe somewhere down the road. You know?
Yeah, we never get Tom.
Get his attention.
Whoa, that'll be wild. But anyway, so we'll do that. Get your Mr. Rogers on. We'll put this out pretty quick. That'll be good to get out before Christmas.
Yes. Good message for the
Christmas. And if you're watching this 20 years from now because of the wonders of the internet, hey, hopefully Mr. Rogers is still going strong.
Yeah.
I bet you he is.
He's still speaking to us.
That's right. Up to those old farts now. Bye-bye.